Hello everyone. I wanted to do Spirit Files number 3 for a few reasons, but mainly around something that happened today to me. First of all, I wanted to think about the meaning of the word grace, Grace, grace. You might have heard it in connection with religion, but I don't, and particularly Catholicism. But I'm not talking about the religious connotation of grace, which is being in harmony with the church. I'm not talking about, or God. I'm not talking about that grace. I'm talking about the actual literal meaning, the dictionary meaning of grace, which is smoothness and elegance of movement. Okay, so she moved through the water with effortless grace. And then this second meaning, which is really resonating with me, courteous goodwill. He had, or she had, the good grace to apologise to her afterwards. And then the verb is bringing honour or credit to someone or something by one's attendance or participation. For example, he is one of the best players, or she is one of the best players ever to have graced the game. So when I think about the meaning of the word grace, I was at the hospital today visiting my son, who's having a minor procedure, and the nurse in charge came into the room and we had a conversation. And I actually just thought, rather than be patient's mum and nurse, let's see if I can meet her as person-to-person level. So I just softened and I started listening, and I used my intuition, and I asked her, she talked about her son, and then we talked about travel, and one thing led to another, and before long we were meeting, I guess, with this smoothness and courteous goodwill. And as I was leaving the hospital, she said, "Now, would you like me to ring you or text you after he's had his procedure?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "What is your name?" And I said, "Marianne." And she went, "Oh, I'm Marianne." Oh, excuse me. She said, "I'm Marianne too." And I went, "Oh, wow, okay." So we were two Mariannes conversing very courteously with lots of goodwill with one another. So that made me think about the word grace. And I thought, it's time for a Spirit File number 3 on the meaning of grace and what we need to know about grace. Because I think you can be gracious with yourself. And I think you can be in a state of grace without necessarily having to go to church. I think you can be in a state of grace with your higher self, and indeed with the universal consciousness. So with that in mind, I'll just call forth the same nurturing and healing energies that I do when I do all these readings. Okay. So, what do we need to know, Spirit, about grace? What is meant by the word grace? How can we have grace in our lives? Okay, so this Six of Cups is coming forward, and that again is some people say it's the card of nostalgia. It's looking back into the past. It's remembering things when things were joyful and happy. So when we think about our best times in the past, we get this idea about grace, and we get this idea about courteous goodwill, and this seamless, smooth movement in harmony with one another. And look, it's also, I guess, in one way, it can be seen as innocence, the card of innocence. And if we look back at innocence, we came to the table, I guess, in our childhoods when we were children, and this Aquarian deck does depict this card with two children smelling roses, smelling flowers, abundant flowers around the children. I guess when we come with innocence into a situation, we actually come without any prejudgment. So I think the word judgment is really important here. It's how we have those prejudgments about people. It's really easy to slip into, but this is what I did today. I suspended all my judgments and just really listened and followed the train of her thought without any judgments. And I think what that does then is it allows us to connect very, very quickly. The Eight of Rods is things moving very fast. And we connect with others very quickly. And, we allow other people to be strong, and we in turn are strong. So when we're in this state of grace, we're in a state of strength, not weakness. So if we look at those prejudgments that we make and the barriers we put around, the obstacles, the rivalries, however you want to describe how we might relate to people. When we're in a state of grace, we are at our strongest. It's probably, I have for many, many years had a wonderful, I guess, appreciation of the word grace. It's always fascinated me. And the King of Cups, the King of Cups, I said to somebody on my Patreon page the other day, the kings can be women. They're not necessarily men. And so this indeed is this, I guess, it's this emotional fulfillment. It is this nurturing and healing energy coming forward. And so this is where when we're in this state, we are allowing this healing energy to come forward. The kind of energy that I guess puts us on the same track as our fellow man or fellow woman in this case. It doesn't put us above them. It doesn't put us below them. It actually puts us, again, with this smoothness, this ease of being. And, that is at a fundamentally at a emotional level, because the cups are associated with emotions and are associated with water. So things move through water extremely gracefully. It's interesting. And when things happen really quickly, the Nine of Cups comes forward. Some see this as the wish card. I see this indeed in some cases as the miracles happening, wishes coming true, but also see it as bountiful emotions as well. So people might associate this with money, wishes coming true. I think in this reading it's about being emotionally content, emotionally stable. I think there's a lot to be said for grace. And we hear the truth. The Knight of Swords is the fast, quick-acting soldier. And I think we hear the truth. When we're in this state of grace. And we're able to make decisions about what we're going to do with what we hear. Are we going to have more judgments? Or are we going to suspend those judgments and keep listening in this state of grace? Which actually allows the conversation to, I guess, go where it's meant to go. Because then I think, ultimately we're discovering all the time. We're discovering all the time about each other. So this is sort of like the soldier of humanity coming forward here. And I would like to think that there's compassion coming into this reading as well. So, this emotions, again, allowing the untold to be verbalized, allowing not even, it doesn't even necessarily have to be words. It can be, because we're mirroring the King of Emotions or the King of Cups, nurturing and healing. Allowing the secrets, if you like, the traditional meaning of this card, to come forth in a non-judgmental environment, and therefore allowing that nurturing and healing energy to take place. So if we're talking about grace, we're not just talking about grace in the aspect of grace, being in a state of grace with others. We're talking about living in a state of grace with ourselves as well, because we can often be our own harshest critics, our own harshest judges. I think when you're judging others, you're judging yourself quite hard as well. And so with this, bountiful emotions and things happening quickly, to get to really get in sync with others' mindsets. We've got the Seven of Pentacles coming through, and this is the patience and the work part of things. So I don't think that when we're in a state of grace that that our communications and our relationships with others and our relationships with ourselves are hard work. I don't think this is what this is meaning at all. What I think this is meaning is that beyond wishes coming true, you really do have to work at being in a state of grace, because it's not easy. It's not easy to suspend judgments. It's kind of our natural inclination because of the rivalry and the competitiveness that's innately in human nature. We have that, I've read on fight or flight before. It's almost that innate need to defend ourselves. But I think the lesson here is that when we work hard to suspend judgments, to be in that state of grace with ourselves and with others, we actually attain success. And what do we attain success in? I think we attain peace. Peace and goodwill, which are, that's quite massive, isn't it? And the Page of Pentacles, I often think of the pages as this innocent character coming forth. And this is, again, this patience. But it's also in society, the pentacles are associated with security within society, within societal structures, but also financially as well. And I think that when we're in this state of grace, I think it has benefits at that societal level that we all live in, whether that be, work, career, those traditional raising families. I think that it makes things much, much easier and allows us to bring in that spiritual aspect to our physical lives, if you like, to our lives within our society and our environment. I think that makes that more comfortable. It makes us more secure. I think that's what that card is saying. It is making us more secure, because that insecurity, can sometimes, if it's not resolved, it builds up, it accumulates. And I think that again, we've done a lot of readings on fear. And I think also that if we're continually living with insecurity, we're living with elements of fear. So if we look at grace as when we suspend those judgments, when we suspend those rivalries, the obstacles do clear. And I think generally that our lives within society are made easier. We're not always continually watching and waiting for that person to take something of ours, or get the job that we want, or whatever the issue is that causes a competitiveness within you. I think all of that's suspended. You don't have to worry about that anymore. So I would at a practical level, as a follow-up to Spirit Files number 3, I would actually go and Google the meaning of grace. I did allude to that at the start of this reading. And then I would just have a reflection or a meditation on the word grace. And then do what I did at the hospital today, suspend the judgment and, in a communication, and just let that judgment go and just listen without any kind of, competitiveness or any insecurity or thought that this person's, better than you or worse than you, or, you can do better, or whatever those thoughts are. Suspend those thoughts and think about the meaning of grace. it certainly helped me today. I hope that that this reading's helpful for you, because we all want this, don't we? We all want to be strong so that we can enjoy, the time that we have here and be there for our loved ones, our families, and to be generally a help rather than a hindrance to those around us and to humanity generally. So I'll leave that there. I hope you enjoyed Spirit Files number 2 on the meaning of grace. Thank you.